it's alright. Hang up the phone and let your heart break on the internet. 24 twice. She's on the phone, but she's staying on Wilshire Boulevard. Old dreams dying hard. Want you to return this love.
Hi, Destiny family. How are you doing? I'm not sure how many of you have been following the Sean Diddy Combs court case that is currently taking place in a New York courtroom. There are so many questions. After hearing some of the horrific evidence and viewing video footage or longer viewer footage of what happened in a hotel that has a significant bearing on this court case, on this case. In this video, you will be viewing a non-audio footage of roughly 10 minutes of what took place in that hotel room. Hotel, not the room itself, but what we get to see is along the corridors. So while I am talking, what you will see are different footage of what has taken place. Now, for the purpose of this video, what I have done is that I've chosen to divide things into 3 categories. First category is before, which talks about like the timeline of events of their relationship between P Diddy, Combs, and Cassie. Then I'm going to talk about during, which is going to focus on some of the evidence that have come out of the case itself. Then I'm going to talk about after, meaning the future, what lessons can be learned. So here we go. So view the footage now, starting now. So first I'm going to talk about the timeline of events. So the relationship between P Diddy Combs, Sean Diddy Combs, and Cassie began in 2007. They broke up in 2018. In 2023, Cassie threatened to sue. She was subsequently paid $20 million with a signed non-disclosure. Later, in 2024, March of 2024 to be exact, hotel video footage was released to the public, meaning it just showed up online. And here we are today. So here we are today. So that was the timeline of events. So what that tells you is that they were in a relationship for over a decade. So what is happening now? I am sure that you are just as shocked as myself of some of the things that are coming out of this case. Now, why is Sean Diddy Combs before the courts today? So what happened was that in October of 2024, a case was filed in the New York court which accused P Diddy of kidnapping. And for the purpose of this, I'm going to say for the purpose of YouTube, I have to be careful with some of the words that I've used. So remember that in 2023, Cassie, she threatened to sue. Things were settled. After the settlement, then video footage of what happened in the court, in the hotel room, was seen online. So you can see that this was that for Cassie, everything was squashed because there were some payments with a signed NDA. But that was not the end of it, because other people actually took out a filed lawsuit which accused Sean Diddy Combs of kidnapping, egging, and coercing women into sexual activities, sometimes through threat of violence and the use of a pie. What we know is that at least 7 people filed lawsuits, and this include 4 men and 3 women. Cassie kept quiet, but of course you know that you keeping quiet, signing an NDA, does not exempt you from being called by the law to testify. And that is why Cassie is now on the witness stand. So let us take things now and let us see what's happening in the courtroom. What are some of the things that Cassie, we now know as a result of Cassie's testimony? We do know that the humble baby oil, the humble baby oil, the baby oil that I love so much. What we now know is that in some cases, Cassie and ladies were made to bathe in baby oil. So what we are now hearing, that the freak out parties, I think there were freak out parties, that's what they were called. Diddy was a fan of those, to the extent that they were taking place on a weekly basis. The ladies, Cassie, in some cases, had to even bathe in baby oil because Diddy liked baby oil to the extent where he likes to see bodies, skins glisten when drenched in baby oil. So it's not ordinary baby oil, but it should almost be running from your body. That's how he liked to see it. And in some cases, the baby oil was heated. I am surprised that, I can imagine that at that point or at some stage, USA must have had a shortage of baby oil based on how much baby oil was being used. And to hear that these parties were taking place on a weekly basis. It was during this trial as well that I've learned about FAWN trauma response. And I'm going to tell you some of the shocking things that have come out of this, as a result, come out based on the testimonies that I have heard. Some of the things that disgust me was to know that Cassie was almost a ex-slave in Diddy's eyes. And I'm saying that, I'm not sure if you would agree with me, but if she was being passed around, and I'm just saying it for what it is, she was having sex with different people, the people who attend these parties. And in some cases, Diddy, as a partner, would watch. I had some questions, but then what I've since learned was that they actually had it's almost like an open relationship, in that Diddy was seeing other people and Cassie was allowed to see other people throughout the decade of their relationship. I was surprised. And I'm sure that you, just looking at the video clippings of what actually took place in the hotel alley, the alley, I'm sure that you are shocked as well of what you're seeing has taken place in the hallway of that hotel. So when we look at it, okay, when asked why Cassie took part in these parties, freak off parties, that's what it is, something like that, she said that she did it because that was the only time that she would get to spend time with her partner, because he was always busy. I also learned about FAWN trauma response. That was how, because I was thinking to myself, why was Cassie taking part in these things? But what came out as a result of this trial and on the witness stand was that she was scared because violence was involved. And you can look at the footage of what you are seeing there and just imagine if this was away from home that he was doing this to this young lady. You can imagine what takes place when they are behind closed doors. So to hear as well that violence was often involved if she would refuse or decline to do certain things, then I can understand to a certain extent why she stayed in it, why she actually took part in these parties as well. She was not the only person as well who was involved. There were, like I've said, at least 7 lawsuits were filed against Diddy for all of this. So in answering why didn't she leave, that's where the fawning trauma response came about. And I've learned that this is where people are, they get to the point where they almost try to please just for fear of the repercussions. So you cannot say no. That is where the person will refuse to say no, or hesitate or think about the consequences of, what would I say, not agreeing to what somebody says. And as a result of that, they will just, they hesitate a bit, but they will always come around and say, okay, yes, I will do it. So this is an ongoing case. And from what I have heard, Cassie has been vindicated from what has everything. But to be honest with you, some of the things that has come out of the testimony, they are truly horrific. And if you would like to know more about some of the things that were said, I would say go online. Everything is right there. When she had to take part in these activities, even when she was seeing her monthly, whether she was ill, even if she was ill, it was even worse because the violence would start. So that's what has come out. These are some of the things that have come out during the trial. Now, how many Cassies are out there? That's the question. How many Cassies are out there? And remember, when I say how many Cassies, I am not just saying females, because I'm very much aware of the fact that men sometimes go through these things as well. But I am saying, okay, how many Cassies are out there? As a result of this landmark case as well, what will be put in place to make people, what would I say, more willing to stand up to the bullies? Yes, I understand. In this case, from what I'm now learning, I can see that Sean Diddy Combs was not somebody to mess around with. So I can understand. But what I'm thinking, what can we do? What action? What can be put in place? Some people will say, okay, that's what some people get for their glamorous lifestyle. And this case has also revealed that you should not grudge people for what they have, because sometimes what they have come with a price. Because a lot of people would have seen Cassie about, very beautiful young lady. She's very, very beautiful, always well put together. And some people would have thought that, wow, she was living the life. But no, nobody knew that behind closed door, all these things were taking place. And unfortunately, to a certain extent, she was a part of it as well. Now, what is happening with her now? So the relationship ended in 2018. Since then, Cassie moved on to she got married, and she has children as well. As a matter of fact, the husband was right by her side throughout the days of her testimonies. What can we say to our young ladies? How do we stop our young ladies from making these mistakes? How can we teach our young ladies to see red flags? How can we get our young ladies to be confident enough to say, look, even though I am seeing all this, even though I am being looked after materially, by a certain person, how do we train our young ladies to say no? How do we train our young ladies to walk away before it is too late? The good thing about this is that I am almost certain that Sean Diddy Combs will pay for his actions. I'm also happy that these are some of the people who have lived to tell the tale. I am also happy that Cassie, even though she's going through a lot of therapy, she's on her way to recovery from what I have heard and from what have come out of this case. I am happy that she is around to tell the tale and that she has seemingly moved on with her life. Young ladies, everything that glitters is not gold. You can say no. I understand that in this case, this was it is different only because of who is involved and because of the extent that we are now hearing that this gentleman, I'm still going to say gentleman, he's known gentleman, the length that he was willing to go through to ensure that his needs were met. I am not sure about you, but I am really appalled at some of the things that I have learned. And I am just hoping that from this case, if there is any young lady who is out there who is probably going through something similar and is probably wondering how to get out of it, I hope that any such young lady will get some pointers from this case, I hope, because nowadays there are so many, the information is available online. And I'm certain that, people who are in the public's eye, I'm sure that it is more difficult for them to own up to abuse. But also, I am happy that more and more people, when you look into it, more and more people are coming forward. More and more people are willing to come forward and to say, look, this has happened to me. And I'm not happy that celebrities have gone through these things. But what I am happy about is that more and more celebrities are willing to step forward and to say, I am going through this, or I have experienced this in my life, and are willing to walk away as well. Let us see how this case will end, because there are other witnesses. So far, I know that 2 people have taken the stand, and it is awful. The things that we are hearing, these things are really, really awful. And now I am looking at some people with the side eye. And this tells as well that you cannot judge a book by its cover. This is an example of it in its truest form. Because you would have, like I've said, you would have seen Cassie, beautiful young lady, over the years, and you would have thought that she had the perfect life, not knowing that these were the things that she was going through. I can imagine that she must have felt less than a woman, because there it is, your partner. Yes, I know that they were both seeing other people on this side. But for her to degrade herself into taking part in these freaky parties, it to myself and to yourself, I'm sure that we just cannot comprehend it. But from what I've heard as well, drugs was a part of it, and I'm happy that she is on the road to recovery in the truest form. And I can only hope that steps will be taken to protect the children for now. And I'm saying it for now because we all know about the internet. We know that the footprints, whatever is there, the print will be there. And I'm sure that they will, when the children become of age, they will go looking, or somebody, because that's just how this life is, somebody will tell them about what has happened to their mothers, to their mother. Let us be careful. Let us know in the truest sense that everything is not, that glisten is not gold. I hope that you would have learned something from this ongoing case as well. And I hope as well that you will be confident in yourself. If you see signs of somebody else going through something similar, I hope that you will be brave enough. Yes, I know that you never get involved in other people's relationship, because you know that when they get back together, you are the only one who is left on the outside, and chances are both people will malice you. But if you can stop the ultimate happening to someone where they could lose their life, please do so. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let's keep an eye on this case as it continues. But so far, Cassie has been vindicated, and I'm sure that Diddy will be convicted. So let us see the outcome of this case itself. Until I upload another video, Destiny, I say